back from our maiden voyage, and do we have a story for you?
Hey, this is Tim, and I'm Robin, and this is us having no clue what we're doing. But we're doing it anyways, and it starts with us selling our house and buying a van.
So we took our trip, our first trip in the van. Van's not done yet, but we went to go test it out on a yearly family vacay to the beach camping. It was great. We're gonna plug the video in here that we took.
The van did fine getting us there. We had a great time spending with family and some friends and everything like that. And on the way back, all the excitement happened. We were still on the island. We did not get off the island yet, but
20 minutes in,
all the lights pretty much came on the van dash. I told, like Robin said, she was driving. I told her to pull over the next chance we got. She pulled over into a gas station.
well, it was like right there.
That was right there.
And everything just cut off. Like I could brake, but nothing was on.
So we pulled over. We tried to turn it off and start it back up, and it was clearly like a dead battery. So we assumed after we sat there for a little while, I ended up getting the vehicle to go into reverse, and I pushed it into a parking spot there just so it was out of the way. And then then there was a guy there who looked like he would probably know a thing or two about vehicles and have some jumper cables in his car. So I went up and asked him. He was driving a big diesel truck, so we figured that was adequate to jump off the van. So we asked him to jump us off.
Our first van breakdown. We're getting a guy to jump us because the car just stopped working. Who knows what it is?
Which didn't get us anywhere. The vehicle would not start.
It did start. It did start, and then he left 5 minutes later, and then the van cut off again. But not only that, he also, besides jumper cables, he had a battery tester. So we were able to. We weren't entirely sure it was our battery because somebody was saying our alternator, and you know, maybe that was all that we had left in the alternator that last 20 minutes, and then that's why everything shut off. So it could have been the alternator, could have been the battery. He tested the battery was low, but not dead low.
Right. He said the battery was putting out 10 volts, which it should be putting out 12. So that's not super low.
But for a vehicle, it should be at 12 volts.
We got to the beach just fine.
Yes.
The alternator worked, the battery worked, stopped multiple times. It all started up perfectly fine. So we were not thinking that there was any issues with the vehicle. So anyways, this was Father's Day, so it was a Sunday. We were trying to get back.
4 o'clock? What time did we leave?
Yeah, it was probably it was probably 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I hopped on the phone. I have free towing with State Farm, which basically only gets you like a few miles, and we were kind of in the middle of nowhere, so But
I would recommend it. I mean, it's the fact that we had that was...
Yeah, it was good, but it didn't get us as far as we would want, and we're still having issues with them getting us to pay us back. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Hopped on the phone with them, got us a tow truck. He came out. Awesome guy. We really liked him. It was pretty late when he got there, though. It was 7 o'clock when he arrived, towed us to the closest Mercedes dealership, and then dropped off the car into the parking lot, and Robin and I got a hotel for the night.
Come on, baby. Oh, no. Come on. Come on. Don't scrape, don't scrape, don't scrape, don't scrape, don't scrape. Oh, okay, good. She's down. Well, I think we are glad that we got the Marriott card. Would you agree?
Yes.
We got
this card, and I'm only mentioning this because if you're in a situation like this, then it might be beneficial. But we got the Marriott card thinking that during van life there might be a time or two where we might want to stay in a hotel or need to stay in a hotel for any reason. We didn't think we'd use it this early.
Because this is trip number 1.
But we did.
So we got the Marriott Bonvoy card. Spent a lot of money on it at the beginning of the van build when we purchased like our floors and some of the electrical stuff. Just those big purchases, went ahead and put them on that card to rack up a whole bunch of points. I think they had like the bonus offer was if you spent X amount of dollars, then you got 100,000 points.
50,000. Was it 50?
No, it was 100,000 points.
Oh, 100,000.
And we met that cap with the van build. And also I had an older chase card that I moved over some points as well. So we are sitting on a good chunk of points, and we are currently using some of them now.
Yeah, it was our it was our main card of use with van build stuff. So yeah, cashing in on those points is super helpful, and not having to, especially because we don't know what the cost of tomorrow's gonna be.
No.
So if you're looking for a card, we'd recommend the Marriott Bonvoy. And we looked at a lot of different cards, and we considered a lot of things. Obviously, flight cards are a good consideration, and it really depends on how you're living your van life. We weren't planning, it's not like we're thinking like, okay, we're gonna stay in a bunch of hotels and then be in the van every once in a while. That's not what our thinking was. It was just like a here and there, once in a while situation if we wanted to or needed to, and it did come in handy. So,
and we did also get a flight card too, but we didn't use it nearly as much as the Marriott card, mainly just because the Marriott card, I think it gives you more points when you spend online purchases than the flight card did. So we've been using the flight card for the groceries and stuff like that, and the Marriott card for everything else. And definitely trying to rack up those points.
It's worth that. Travel hacks. Oh, for more.
Also, side note, not every Mercedes dealership works on vans. We found out the next day that that specific Mercedes dealership didn't work on vans. We had to get it towed again. By another awesome duo, father and son, and son was like 8. He was cool. He towed us to the Mercedes Vans dealership, where we then spent about 8 hours.
It was about 30 minutes away. So
right. But we were at the van dealership for about 8 hours while they diagnosed the problem. So, turns out...
Okay, so they ran the vehicle, obviously. They replaced the battery.
They replaced the alternator. They put the battery on a charger.
First.
They put the battery on a charger.
Replaced the alternator entirely. Started the van up and realized that wasn't the issue. So then they took the seat off and they looked at the fuse panel that we had to alter in order to get alternator charging. And one of the fuses, not the alternator fuser that we put in, but another fuse, is what the problem was. So that blew. And we very well think we know exactly when that happened.
Well, no, I don't say we know. Well, okay, so it definitely happened because we took the fuse panel out. We had to loosen all the screws on there to get the top of it off, put our new fuse in, again, not the fuse that blew, and then put the panel back together. The people at Mercedes said that when the aftermarket fuse was being put in, perhaps the other fuses didn't get tightened down hard enough and it allowed it to jiggle in there or something like that and lose contact. Or maybe it was tightened down too much and it cracked the fuse. They really don't know why the fuse blew. But I will have to say that the fuse probably would not have blown if we didn't tamper with that box. Right. So I can't really tell anybody else what to do and what not to do, because we don't know exactly where I went wrong on tightening them back down. I didn't even touch the fuse that blew. I literally just took the top off, but to take the top off, you have to loosen the screws that are holding that fuse in place. So all I did was take the top off, pop our fuse in, put the top back on. I didn't mess with any of the other fuses, but just a pre-warning for everybody else who's doing alternator stuff, you really got to make sure that it goes back exactly how you found it, because clearly that's where we went wrong.
And I think it wasn't a tough job to add that alternator fuse, so I think we didn't see how it could have gone wrong, because you just unscrew something, put something down, and then screw it all back exactly the way it was, which is what we did. I will say that if I were the Mercedes dealership, I'd probably say that we should not be touching any of that stuff under the seat. Get a professional to do it. So maybe you should get a professional to do it. But anyways, it wasn't even the fuse that we messed with. But I was saying I think we know exactly what it was because we smelled it.
Right. So there was a point in time where we did hook up the alternator. We hooked up the solar panels. We pulled the van out onto the street to get some better sunlight, because right here we're sitting underneath some trees that shade the solar panels. So
to test out the solar panels.
We were literally just trying to test out the solar panels. So we drove it.
Free trip.
Yeah, we drove it from where it's sitting right now in the driveway just to the street right there, and wasn't very far at all. And we did smell a little bit of burning wire, is probably the best description of the smell. And it's weird that if the fuse blew then, it's very odd that we made it all the way to our beach trip, because that's a 6-hour drive, or 4 to 6 hour drive. I can't really remember. Yeah. So it's very odd if the fuse did blow then that we made it all the way there.
That's a very good point. That was very confusing. I just remember distinctly smelling the smell, and you know, we had the back doors open. We thought maybe it was just the engine or whatever, but it was a very different smell, and I felt strongly that it was maybe a wire. But again, if that's when that happened, how did we get all the way there without what happened to us when we left? And granted, we were using the van while we were on this trip. We were coming in and out. Oftentimes I think we thought maybe leaving the lights on was an issue, which comes to turn, none of that was the problem.
But anyways, we still don't have the alternator charger plugged up and working properly. We'll maybe post another video when we decide to do that. We're hoping that now that the Mercedes dealership put the panel back in place, that we can literally just plug in the alternator charger and everything's going to work beautifully. That's what we're hoping, but we don't know that that's actually going to be the case. We will let y'all know when we get around to doing that. Also, many people will just say, you know, why don't we like try and diagnose and change an alternator? We were getting some family members saying, you know, alternators aren't that hard to change out. Y'all should just do it yourself and not get it towed and not take it to the Mercedes dealership. But the vehicle is still under a 100,000 mile warranty, so that's the reason why I wanted to take it to the Mercedes dealership. Also, where we were at wasn't really a great place to be sleeping inside the van.
Or leaving the van.
Or we didn't have, again, it was Sunday, so we didn't have a way to get to an auto parts shop to buy a alternator. And also, I've never done it, and it was in the middle of a gas station parking lot in the hot sun and stuff like that. And I just didn't think that that was really worth it when the van is still under warranty. And now that we know that it wasn't the alternator, it was just a fuse, I don't know that I would have thought to look for that. And even if I did find out it was the fuse, the Mercedes dealership said that that's not a part that they keep on hand, and they would have had to order it, and it could have taken a week to get in. Thank goodness they were willing to take one off of another van that they had inside the lot, to just rob Peter to pay Paul kind of deal, if that statement makes sense to you. So they did take a fuse, get us that fuse in that day, and get us back out on the road.
Bye, Mercedes.
Back on the road.
Can you say that again, please?
Why did it do that?
You called her Mercedes.
Oh. We're here.
Back in the car. Finally.
Oh my gosh.
We sat at Mercedes all day today, and it's 4 o'clock now. We got to the first Mercedes place at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, 7 o'clock. And it's 4 o'clock. What a day. But she's driving. So that's good.
Back on. I would definitely recommend to take it to a Mercedes dealership if you're still under warranty, because everything at the Mercedes dealership was totally free. We did not pay for anything. We did have to pay a little bit of the towing bills, but the parts and labor itself was all paid for by Mercedes in the warranty.
I will say that it may not be the case for you that it's going to be under warranty, that it's going to be free, whatever the issue is. It's not like anybody can just take their van to Mercedes and think that Mercedes is going to take care of it. I think we were very blessed in the fact that that was our case scenario. And
right.
I don't know if everybody, I mean, we were questioning whether even that warranty that was on this van was going to roll over to us when we purchased the van. So just make sure you check before you go. We're not telling you that it's gonna work for you if you take your vehicle to Mercedes and that they're gonna fix it for you. Zero bill. But I will say that it's always a hard decision whether or not you want to take your vehicle to a dealership to get it looked at, or take it to a local mechanic, or take it to somebody who works on Mercedes. I mean, we considered all the options. I called other car mechanics that work on Mercedes specifically to see if it was a job that they could do. At the end of the day, we are glad that we took it to the Mercedes dealership. Obviously, they are the experts, and I was also worried because we did tamper with this. So does that void the warranty? I don't know, but they were really nice to us, and we were able to get out scotch-free.
Yeah, and I would like to know what y'all, if you own a van and need servicing, like I said, ours is under warranty right now. It's got a 100,000 mile warranty, but it already has 80,000 miles on the vehicle, so our warranty is almost up. I would love to hear what y'all think about whether you take it to a Mercedes dealership even after the warranty is up and pay maybe a steeper price just so you get professionals to work on it, or if you prefer taking it to a local mechanic or a Mercedes specific. Love to hear what y'all have found, if y'all have any experience in that. Hopefully that it's a Mercedes and we won't have a lot of issues, but you never know. So
yeah, I mean, we were flipping through the manual trying to just figure out what the issue was initially, and everywhere in there it says, even down to changing the vehicle battery, take it to a Mercedes dealership. So I know that they're pretty like adamant about that, but we've come across people on YouTube that say that they take their vehicle to a mechanic who specifically works in Mercedes vans, and that's all that they do. And I think that's really cool. We don't have that around us that we know of, right? I mean, we've looked, but you know, all we found are mostly places out west. So maybe if we're out west and we need help, then that's what we would do. But otherwise, it'd be nice to know what you guys do.
yeah, now also something to think about too is just towing, like Robin said. I think it's great that State Farm paid for a little bit of the towing and that it is included in my insurance policy. But I've heard of overlanding insurance. I'd love to hear what people think about that, if you have any experience with it, where if you break down in the middle of nowhere, there's a specific insurance company that you have a policy with that will tow you out. Love to hear what that's all about, if you have any experience with that.
Yeah, and I think overall, like, obviously this is super new in our van journey for something like this to happen, but I do think, like, we learned a ton from it. I mean, we were fine. Our location was okay. It wasn't the best area to be, but it wasn't, we didn't feel like we were actually in danger. We still have our battery bank that works. We had fridge full of food, like everything. We knew we were going to be fine and that we were just going to figure it out. So I think that was really cool, a cool thing to note about, you know, and we felt like if we had to spend the night in the van, we weren't like it would have been okay.
Right. We would prefer to go ahead and get the ball rolling on getting it fixed. So that's why we did decide to go ahead and get it towed on Sunday, Father's Day, because we wanted to get it going, to get fixed and get home. We actually had another beach trip planned shortly after that with Robin's side of the family. So we had to get back kind of in a time crunch. So that's the reason why we didn't spend the night in the parking lot. But we could have if we wanted to.
And another thing that we realized also was if this were to happen in an area where there was no Wi-Fi or we had no cell phone service, like we do need to take that into consideration as a bit of a priority, I would say, going forward. If we were to run into anything like that, we obviously would need to get some help somehow. So that's what we'll be looking into shortly.
Yeah. But overall, I think the trip went well. The return home was eventful, but we made it back. We made it back safe. The van is currently running. We are still in construction. More videos on that to come. If you like our content, we'd love for you to subscribe to our channel. But thanks for watching, and hope you enjoy our videos.
We're very educational. I feel like we talk about all the problems that happen.
Yeah, if you just want to watch all the problems we have, it's just one after another. So every day is us figuring out another issue.
Hey, van life in it. Oh shoot, I didn't
record any of that.
Sorry.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Shut up.
I'm just kidding.